560, The Answer.
Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I'm thrilled to be joined by Karyn J. Taylor, a trial consultant from the Strategic Image. Karyn comes to the legal field after a long and distinguished career in broadcast journalism. She's a former producer and director and writer for CBS News' 60 Minutes, ABC News' 2020 and Close Up, PBS Frontline, and so much more. Karyn is a trial consultant and master storyteller with 25 years of experience. So Karyn, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to have you on the show, and we are going to talk about your trial consulting and what a trial consultant actually is. But I am absolutely fascinated with your background and how it's led to what you're doing now. So Karyn, tell us a little bit about your journalism career and how it led you into the world of legal advice.
As most people who work in the news media know, many of our stories are based on lawsuits and legal disputes, and that was true for me as well. I started off doing documentaries for ABC News Close Up and segued from that to 2020, where I was doing consumer reports and investigative reports, and then went to 60 Minutes, where I produced segments for Ed Bradley. And while I was at 60 Minutes, I was covering a story that took place in Dallas. It involved a lawsuit. And the two attorneys that I met on that story said to me that they wish they had had someone with my storytelling skills available to them as they were preparing their case, because they had tried to create what is known as a settlement brochure, which is a short video explaining their side of the case to the other side, hoping that the other side will look at the video, think, oh my God, we're going to lose, and then settle the case. But they had gone to someone who didn't have a background in trial consulting and who basically did wedding and bar mitzvah tapes, and they weren't very happy with the result. And so in the course of the conversation, they mentioned trial consulting and told me about a firm in Los Angeles that did that. And my ears perked up, because it would be a way to take my visual storytelling skills and apply them in a whole new venue, namely in court, and get year-round sunshine and 70-degree weather too. So I was instantly interested.
Well, so Karyn, you are the founder of the Strategic Image, and which is, as we mentioned, a trial consulting and litigation graphics firm. You've received Emmy nominations for journalism and filmmaking, some of your work in that area. And I'd love to understand a little bit more about what a trial consultant actually is.
Well, you will hear the terms trial consultant and jury consultant used interchangeably, but they're really two different jobs and with different skills and background. A jury consultant is the person who will do the mock trials before trial actually begins to help the lawyers get an insight into what jurors in that particular venue or locale may think. And then when trial starts, that jury consultant, who is usually a PhD in psychology, will help the lawyers pick the jury. They'll help them figure out who's liable to be too biased to give a fair hearing to the evidence and who's more likely to be able to keep an open mind. A trial consultant, on the other hand, usually comes from a more varied background, and there are really three different types of trial consultants. I'm a graphics consultant who also does storytelling. In fact, I specialize in the visual storytelling, which means that I help the lawyers figure out how to weave their case facts and evidence into an interesting, plausible, and emotionally compelling story that will keep the jurors engaged and keep them interested in figuring out, the issues in the case. I also do the graphics that lawyers need to help make the complex simple, to put the visuals, put the case facts and evidence before the jurors in a visual way so that they can better understand them and better remember them. Some trial consultants are have backgrounds in technology, and they take the job known as hot seat operator, where they sit in the courtroom with the attorney. They design the whole setup of computers and monitors and high-tech gadgets in the courtroom. And then as the attorney is speaking, they pull up whatever document, exhibit, or graphic needs to be shown to the jury at that moment. It's a high-pressure job, and people who are faint of heart usually don't go into that line of work. Other trial consultants have backgrounds in or degrees in communications and theater, and they often focus on helping lawyers do better jobs at presenting. So the trial consultant term is more broad than jury consultant, but we all help the lawyers and the jurors do a better job.
And Karyn, I'm going to have to squeeze in a very quick break over here. I know you are a member of the American Bar Association, the Chicago Bar Association, and the Writers Guild of America West. And Karyn, of course, you're not an attorney, but you are a collaborator with a fantastic team, including attorneys, and you work with other jury consultants. So we're going to get a little bit more into that, some of the examples of the work that you're doing when we come back in just a moment. You're listening to Get Down to Business.
Stop wasting paper in its place.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, we are back on Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I'm joined by the founder of the Strategic Image and a senior trial consultant, Karyn Taylor. Karyn is a former producer, director, and writer for some fantastic shows, working with an amazing team, and she uses her storytelling skills. I think that's probably the best way of putting it: storytelling skills and graphic skills to make to work with attorneys and be a trial consultant. So we've been talking a little bit about what a trial consultant does, and just before the break, I started talking a little bit about the teams that you work with, Karyn. Karyn, I know you've mentioned in the past in previous conversations that you believe your success is due to fielding stellar teams of collaborators. So who else do you work with in order to produce the products behind a successful trial consulting product, I guess?
Well, it actually depends on the case and what the lawyer needs me to do. If the lawyer hires the Strategic Image to do graphics, then it will be a matter of what types of graphics he needs. And the way I approach a case is I usually read the case pleadings, which are the documents that the lawyers submit at the start of trial. The plaintiff submits their case pleading, the defense submits theirs. I read them both so I know what the parameters of the case are, who's suing whom, what the issues are, and so forth and so on. And then I go through that and figure out, okay, here's the story they're telling, and this is how I think we might show that story visually, how we'll explain the issues in the case and display the facts and evidence. Depending on what I think the story needs, I will then call one of many graphic designers and illustrators or computer animators or videographers, whomever I think is going to be best able to tell the story in the appropriate medium. And I work with other freelancers, and I've worked with many people in the industry over the years. And so what I do is I put together a crackerjack team based on the lawyer's needs and the needs of the case. And so it's great for the lawyer because they get the dream team without having to pay for overhead, employee benefits, and all those other things that they would have to be paying for in the fees charged by a larger firm with everybody in-house. So it's a quite Karyn, nimble business model.
Karyn, when we're talking about trial consulting work, you are getting very, very deep into the case. And because of your remarkable skills in storytelling, is it tantamount to jury tampering?
Not at all. Trial consultants do not have any contact with jurors at all. Certainly graphics consultants don't. We work outside of the courtroom. The jury consultants may wind up in the courtroom sitting at the lawyer's table with the lawyer and the client, but they are not interacting with the jurors either. They are giving information to the lawyers and assessing what they hear the jurors say, and then they give the lawyers their opinions out of the earshot of the jury. So none of this is jury tampering, and that's just a myth that's, been circulated among the public who really don't know, for the most part, what jury consultants and trial consultants do.
Mm-hmm. And Karyn, you provide a number of other services as well. Aside for trial consulting, you're also providing media training for lawyers as well as presentation training. Let's talk about some of the examples or successes of your work, if you are comfortable. Tell us a little bit about why an attorney would come to you for media training. Obviously, I know your background in media and journalism, but why do they need those experiences?
Well, as we all know, we live in a society that is fascinated by celebrity, and very often celebrities go to trial. I myself wound up outside the courthouse during the O.J. Simpson trial, covering the O.J. Simpson media onslaught when I was still working for the networks. And lawyers are not used to having to speak to the media, and they typically will give no comment answers when journalists ask them about their cases. They do that because they want to protect the integrity of the jury system. They don't want to have the case tried in the media. But there is a way to strategically handle questions from the media that allows an attorney to keep everything sacrosanct as he or she should, but not let the other side poison the jury pool on the 6 o'clock news. So I help the attorneys figure out what the reporters are likely to ask and how best to answer the questions without just blowing them off with a no comment.
Mm-hmm. And Karyn Taylor, again, founder of the Strategic Image. We are running out of time, and I know you offer a free consultation for your services. I want to make sure our listeners know where they can find you, where they can contact you, and learn about more of your tremendous experience and background in the world of media, as well as your work as a trial consultant.
Well, any attorney who is interested in finding out more about what we do can look at my website, thestrategicimage.com. Again, thestrategicimage.com, all one word, all lowercase, or they can give me a call directly. I'm at 773-783-5900, and I'll be happy to speak with anyone who is interested in finding out more about what I do and more about how I might be able to help them. I should say that during this time of sheltering in place, many of the courts are closed, and the courts are trying to set up video conferencing so that the work of the court can continue. Mm-hmm. But for lawyers whose cases may have been postponed and are on hold, now is a perfect time.
It's a good time to be proactive.
Exactly.
Yeah, Karyn, I'm going to have to leave it there. Tracy Walder's joining me right after this quick break.
Imagine if your most